Wait a second. You have everything. Power, a throne, control of the universe. No one can stand against you. No one can defeat you. But every night when you close your eyes, you see the same nightmare. One of your own children overthrowing you, and taking your throne, burying you in darkness. What do you do? Kronos gave the darkest answer in history to this question. And that answer triggered the most dramatic turning point in Greek mythology. Today, I'm going to tell you about a father's fear, a mother's desperation, a son's revenge, and the first great revolution in history. Sit down, because this story will shake you to your core.